Today's video is brought to you by SeedsNow.com.
Up, baby? What's up, baby? Yeah, you heard me, baby. Welcome to Green Wave Radio Live. I am your host, Christopher Green, the hard-hitting and in-your-face television, radio, documentaries, activism, liberty-loving, minded mother you-know-whats is what we represent. And I'm a little jacked up, a little pumped up today. This is not a show for the faint of heart. And I'm angry. And you should be too. I got a little noise kind of in the background. You know, people are like, oh, Chris, I can hear some noise back there. Well, you know what? This is grassroots. So this is what you get. This is real. I'm a regular guy. I'm not some high-paying Fox executive on the teat, sucking it dry every single day, bankrolling coin. Okay, it's not what I'm about. Nor is it why I got into the business of liberty. Yeah, you heard me. It's a business. The business of liberty. But it has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with driving home a message of truth. Freedom for all people. Every race, every sex. I don't care your sexual orientation, your religion, you're Buddhist, Christian, atheist. I don't even care if you're Satanist. I don't care. Well, maybe I do if you're Satanist a little bit, but that's just me prejudging. But this is about truth. And this is also about the protection of those liberties and the protection of that freedom, the very little freedom that we still have. Now, I'm going to be taking your calls today, so I've got the caller line open the entire 2 hours. I'm going to take those in as they trickle in. Our number, 218-339-8525, 218-339-8525. I want to welcome everybody to the live chat. I see we have people trickling into greenwave.com. Got a few dozen people in there right now. I've got some smiley faces / half faces, one coming from Black Box. What's up, Black Box? I also got Too Cool Chris. What's up, buddy? It looks like he's posting some videos in here. Of course, we're syndicating around the world via AmericanFreedomRadio.com and our own network, the AMTV network at AMTVmedia.com, YouTube, etc. Tyranny is here, and war is here. But you know what? I got to slow it down for the mainstream dumbass sheeple from time to time. I've got to introduce them slowly but surely to the truth. You know, you can't just tell them things like we're already at war. They'll be like, we're not at war. We're not at war, Christopher. I was watching my favorite television show yesterday, and we're not at war. I was watching CNN, Anderson Cooper, and although things are dangerous in the world today, we're still not at war. See, Hillary Clintonista's replacement, Mr. Kerry for Secretary of State. War drums, propaganda drums, lie drums, bullshit drums, bullshit alert. So we've got John Kerry. He's conceding, according to reports, that Iran is moving closer to possessing a nuclear weapon. Iran is moving closer to possessing a nuclear weapon. Nukes. Weapons of mass destruction. So scary. So John Kerry, you know, filling his role as Mr. Aristocrat himself. I mean, this is an aristocracy, right? I mean, look who's running for 2016 for president. Clinton, Hillary Clinton from the Clintonista clan. I'm sure Chelsea will be next. And we've got Jeb Bush supposedly in the running. So here are the options. Let me just give you the options here. You can vote for Bush, 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 or Clinton, 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 or Clinton. Let me give you a few minutes to figure that one out. That's what the democracy looks like in the United States today. A bunch of arrogant retards, a part of the aristocracy today that are self-entitled to rule over you, the little guy. You know, throw a couple breadcrumbs at you, watch the groundlings fight over it till their death. You know, it's kind of like Gladiator, you know, the Gladiator games, you know, just watch them fight each other to the death and get a real high. You know, it'll give you a wood watching it. You'll get really excited watching the groundlings go at it with one another, trying to compete for scraps. Also, you've probably noticed that they're driving the Dow Jones Industrial Average again into infinity. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that hilarious? Here they've been convincing us of bank bailouts and trillions of dollars worth of whoredom at the Federal Reserve over the past years. I mean, we're talking money printing into infinity. It's like going to your favorite whorehouse. Or like, who was it? Drake. Drake the rapper. Some of you probably saw this. I don't follow this guy. I just know what a dickwad he is. And I saw in a few reports that he brought a suitcase of $50,000 hard cash. Cold cash. Probably had blood all over it and semen and everything else that cash usually does have on it. Cocaine. You know, it's some of the most dirty things to actually hold in your hand. Feces. Shows up with 50 grand at some kind of high-end strip club and just makes it rain, baby. Makes it rain. Dollar bill signs, y'all. Dollar bill signs. What a loser. What a friggin' loser. I don't know what he's trying to do. It's like, oh, I'm gonna, drum up some street cred. What a punk. What a bitch. What a loser. But the reason I'm talking about it is because it's the same thing the Federal Reserve is doing. Ben Bernanke, man. Oh, man. He's at the biggest strip club. Throwing dollar bill signs, y'all, everywhere. Stuffing dollars down these dirty whores' pants. Shake it for me, baby, he says. Shake it for me. Let me see that ass. Making it rain. Money. 14,253, and the party is just beginning on Wall Street. Just beginning. These are the same assholes that convinced you to bail them out in 2008. Now they're making it frigging rain. That's the society we live in today. This is just the beginning. Dow 14,000, nothing. Dow 15,000, 16,000, 18,000, who knows? What I do know is they're going to run this thing up higher than you've ever seen it in your life. Going to make pre-2008, the stock real estate bubble where everybody's a hustler and real estate mortgage mogul. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, I just made $1 million on paper. I flipped 15 friggin' homes this year. Or was it 20? I don't know, because I don't even know how many homes I freaking flipped. Took out about 19 mortgages at 0% interest rate, and then refinanced them at 110% loan to value, more than the homes were worth. Coupled it with a HELOC at 0%, cashed out, and flipped it into the next mofo. That's the kind of people that these guys are. Ben Bernanke at the ultimate whorehouse making it rain. Blood money. Blood money. Let's get it straight. Blood money. All that printing at the Federal Reserve is costing American lives. All that printing at the Federal Reserve will cost more civilian lives. Which is exactly why the radar and the agenda has always been Iran. Iran. That god-awful Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. How dare him try to acquire nukes? You know, the same technology that the United States possesses. Is there any difference between dictatorships here? I mean, honestly. Is there any difference between the ship that President Barack Obama is running compared to Mahmoud Ahmadinejad? You know how we're always propagandized? It's like, I saw this in a mainstream television show the other day, and they were kind of poking fun at it. They're like, darn those Koreans. Not the southern ones, but the northern ones. Yeah, the bad ones. Those North Koreans. And it's like, why are they bad? We don't know. We just know we've been propagandized that they are. We don't like them. South Koreans are okay, though. South Koreans are okay, but those darn North Koreans. People in America have no idea what they're talking about. The only idea you have is what you've been sold by the elitists and by the corporatists and by these scumbags that have propagandized you for profit. Like a stock, you have a quantifiable value, baby. It's like the Matrix, you know? Everybody plugged into their iPods and iPads, living in a fiction, living in a non-reality. Actually, most of America preferring it as well. Preferring the non-reality. Preferring, a dozen LCD screens in front of their face at a given time. They'd rather play and have a sexual relationship with their freaking iPhone than they would their actual mate. It's like, hey, sorry, honey, I'm not paying attention. I'm downloading some porn via my handheld. That's what America has come to, and people don't think, or they'll be ignorant not to think that we're not at a spiritual war right now. That we're not at a spiritual war, that we don't have the forces of good and evil working against each other. What a joke. And of course, they've got the introduction of Google Glass coming soon, so you're going to have a completed Orwellian police state now. You'll be downloading your porn, and no one will even know you're watching it. You'll be getting all hot and bothered in public. You always joke with friends, because you study these statistics, and it's some absurd number, like 70% of all internet traffic is just to download pornography. It's like, hey, the internet, what a good porn invention. It's like a porn machine that they invented, pretty much. So, breaking news, the Dow Jones Industrial finishes at an all-time high. Smashes the 2007's record close. More money, more problems. More money, more problems. Who's making all this money is what I want to know. Is it your friend? Is it like the Bob or the John you're sitting next to at your local pub? Talk to these people. Hey, Bob, the Dow is up at an all-time high, smashing the 2007 record close. How's your portfolio going? I would almost guarantee you Bob will slap you or deck you right between the nose. Because his portfolio hasn't done shit. He's been robbed, though, the past few years. There's a strong likelihood he's probably been through foreclosure, maybe declared bankruptcy. Maybe he was lucky enough to sell his home in a short sale. Maybe he's got about 40% of what his Roth or his 401k used to be worth, struggling to pay the bills, struggling to fill up his pickup truck so he can do some job he probably doesn't even like. Where's all this money going? Is what we should be asking. Because this is a byproduct of your bailouts, I want to remind you. Your handouts to the wealthy. There's nothing against being wealthy, nothing against that. I think being wealthy is great. Go for it. It's America. It's called capitalism. But I do have something against stealing from the little guy. Stealing from the majority so you can pad your own pockets. I got a problem with that. I got a problem with our president raping the American people. I got a problem with Wall Street sticking it up our ass. I got a problem with the too big to fail banks like Bank of America screwing us over, forcing us into $45 billion in TARP funds so they can keep their precious ATMs open, so they can screw us all again in the future. I got a problem with that. If America was to get together and do the right thing, we'd have our pitchforks out right now. We'd burn these banks to the ground. Literally. We'd burn them to the ground. Funny thing is, there's no need for it. No need for any of that. All you need is people just to change their behavior, just say, hey, we're not going to do business with them, and the whole thing burns to the ground as a byproduct. But the people are too dumb to organize, too dumb to get together. I mean, literally, you don't even need to protest. It's just a silent protest. You just choose a different behavior. And the entire planet changes for the better. But again, we have some amazing power at work here. We've got some amazing pressure. There's a war on for your mind. There's a war on for your quantifiable dollar value. Again, it's all about profit. It's all they care about. How much money can they make off you? That's it. You're just a number. They don't care about you. That's why it's so ridiculous and such a joke where it's like, hey, guys, we got to pull together. Yeah, I know AIG just went broke and stuff, and we grossly mismanaged our companies into oblivion and bankrupted our shareholders in America. But we're really going to need your help now. Well, let's really pull together. Yeah, are they pulling together for you? No. I'll be right back. I'm Christopher Green, Green Wave Radio Live, hard-hitting and in your face. Stay tuned. Hey, everybody, we are back. I am Christopher Green. This is Green Wave Radio Live. You know, I'm actually kind of interested in a strange, peculiar kind of way to see the reaction of the American people, from the American people, when they start to round up innocents and throw them into internment camps. And I'm not a masochist. It's not like I really want these things to happen. God forbid. Obviously, I'm praying every day, every single day. I say my prayers to God. I say my prayer before I go to bed. Please protect us. Protect my friends and family. Please don't allow these things to happen. But I'm almost interested in a strange, almost masochistic way to see the reaction. And you know why? You know why I'm interested? You know why I'm kind of like a little perturbed by it? Just kind of like sitting over here like, I wonder what's going to be the reaction. Because honestly, I don't think there's going to be a reaction from the great majority. Yeah, there'll be a few. There'll be the fighting minority. There'll be the resistance. There will be the civil war, guaranteed. But the great majority are just going to be like, oh, did you hear about Bob? Yeah, Bob was sent to an internment camp yesterday. Oh, hey, did you hear about Sue? Did you hear about Sue? Yeah, Sue was sent to a concentration camp on Tuesday. Isn't that incredible? And then people start talking like, oh my God, yeah, like Sue went to a concentration camp. It's crazy. And I wonder why. Like, why did she go? Why was she rounded up? And then it'll be like, oh yeah, John, did you hear about John? The Department of Homeland Security came to his house and took all of his shotguns. Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? And then they sent him to a Guantanamo-style camp. People just be kind of chit-chatting back and forth. Great majority allow it to happen. This isn't bullshit. Again, this is real. There's a leaked document that came out. I encourage you to read this. In fact, I'm going to drop this in the chat right now. A leaked document, military internment camps in the U.S. to be used for political dissidents. This isn't bullshit. It's real. Well, let me go ahead and drop the actual document here. Hold on, I'm going to copy the shortcut. I'm going to drop it into the chat. There's the URL. There it is. For those of you that are listening to this in the archive format, I'll even read the address to you so you can look it up later if it's still up, if they don't take it down. fact, we should probably copy paste this into our own website. info.publicintelligence.net/US Army internment resettlement.pdf. I'm not going to repeat that because if you're listening to the archive version, you can just, well, rewind. Use your head. Use your head. So we have a leaked document that I just dropped in the chat. Internment camps for political dissidents in the U.S. aren't a conspiracy theory. The Department of Defense document entitled Internment and Resettlement Operations. Oh, you gotta love it, don't you? It may almost make it sound cool. Internment and Resettlement Operations, otherwise known as FM 33940, proves that this is beyond a shadow of a doubt. And of course, you can download the link there. It's, quite multi-paged, so I'm not going to sit here and read it all to you on air. You got to do your own due diligence, America. I can't baby you, nor will I. Read the stuff for yourself. Spread it around. Get it out there. This is dozens and dozens of pages. You can't go through a document like this and you can't deny something when you give someone a document like this. Like, hey, they'll say, oh, you conservatives are crazy. Internment camps, hogwash, fear-mongering. You know what I do? Then I just slam a multi-dozen-page document in front of them. I'm like, read it. And then I'll call them the next day. Hey, did you read that document I gave you? I did this with the NDAA. Did you read it? And they'll be like, oh, no, I didn't have time. I'll call them a week from that day. Hey, did you read it? And they'll be like, oh, no, sorry, man. I just, I've been busy at work and stuff. And then I had to go bang my girlfriend. And then we got in a fight. And I'll call them a month later, 30 days. Hey, did you read the document? And they'll be like, no, dude. I was playing softball. And then there was that television show that I like to watch on TV. And, I just didn't have the time. And these are the same people that'll tell people like me we don't know what we're talking about. Simple as just using your two eyes, your brain, reading something. If you can't read, then get somebody to orate it for you. I'm almost flabbergasted today, almost. It's almost just kind of you reach a point of you're just kind of pushed beyond belief, which is kind of where I'm at almost, quite frankly. To be honest with you, we put out a video earlier today. War with Iran imminent, red alert. Got that out to the viewing public. I've got ANTV News coming up in the not too distant future. Make sure to tune in for that. Become an AMTV Pro subscriber today. It's only $4.95 a month or $49.95 a year. The price you might go and grab a cup of coffee, and that's how little it is, to grab a cup of coffee, as most of you, or a good portion of you do, or maybe it's something else that you like to do. You can support what we're doing. That's it. So please support us. Check us out online. Check us out on our website. Donate. Help us out. Support our sponsors. You'll notice we've started to add a few more sponsors. That's absolutely fantastic. We're moving a lot of traffic for them. You probably noticed I ran a short clip today on the book 9/10. Buy the book. Buy it. It's a great piece of literature. Support these people. These are good people. This is what's supporting us and allowing me to go out and spend weeks at a time in a dark room by myself a good portion of the time, putting together hour-long feature presentations like The Executive. This is a lot of hard work. We need your support. There is no sugarcoating it, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. I need your help. Bottom line, it's that simple. So help us. I'm asking. More sequester pain. White House cancels tours. Big distraction. The White House announced Tuesday that it was canceling all public tours of the president's home because of the sequester spending cuts due to staffing reductions resulting from sequestration. I love these tag words, Sequestration. You know, they were just like sitting in a room over tea and crumpets like, all right, Bob, we need a good term. Yeah, we need something to spin that we can, you know, make topical on CNN Tuesday night. And they're just kind of sitting there going, and then until one guy gets the idea, a light bulb goes off. Aha! Why don't we use sequestration? And they're like, you know what? Great idea. Love it. Let's use it. Pump it. And that's all we're hearing about through the mainstream media, hence. Absolutely unbelievable. I just mentioned a document all of you should read, reread. The Department of Defense document entitled Internment and Resettlement Operations, or FM 33940, proves that military internment camps in the United States will be used for political dissidents. Yeah, concentration camps, death camps, here in the good old red, white, and blue. We just love our freedom here, don't we? As President Barack Obama rounds up the dissidents. Like, well, you know, you don't like bailouts? Well, we're going to freaking kill you. Got to be careful. Almost dropped the F-bomb there out of frustration, but I didn't. See how good I am? See how good I'm being? Leaked document, military internment camps in the U.S. to be used for political dissidents. God bless America. God bless America, the red, white, and blue. You know what? For all you youngsters out there, you should really consider an opportunity in the United States military. And if not the military, you should do it domestically in the streets, cities, and towns and churches of your own local community. Put on that SS Gestapo uniform, Hitler-style piece of work. Become part of the DHS and round up innocent Americans, American patriots, mothers, children, and then gas them in concentration camps. Yeah, I can see it, and it's like, visit DHS.com to become a part of this growing movement to destroy people's lives. Looking at an ad here, it's for an American military university. It says, online degrees for soldiers. Yeah, the red, white, and blue. I love how they do the commercials now. It's all about, like, tech and stuff. Like, oh, you know, when I'm just a regular civilian before I became a part of the military and started drone striking families in Yemen. They should just, like, show the bombs go off and the kids screaming as their body parts spray everywhere. And there's just blood that hits the camera. Like, red, white, and blue. God bless America. Obama, you know, comes on and his Lighthouse YouTube address. He's like, Iran is a serious threat. Yemen is a serious threat. Al-Qaeda is a serious threat. And after each threat announcement, they'll just show the screaming children. Takes you back a little bit, doesn't it, to think about it? Would you drop a bomb on an American school? Would you blow up a grocery store because there was a target among the civilians within a certain perceived radius? Would you gun down via helicopter and laugh about it, as we saw with the leak, courtesy of WikiLeaks and courtesy of, in my opinion, heroes like Bradley Manning that leaked the footage in Iraq, where we've got American fighter pilots, helicopter pilots just shooting down innocent civilians, like getting a real rush out of it too, like really enjoying the killing. Would you do that? We study this stuff in history all the time. You know, you talk to people that were a part of the SS or the Gestapo doing the killing, doing the gassing, rounding up political dissidents and just putting rounds in their face. And a lot of these people, they'll tell you, I just didn't really think about it. These people were like dogs to me. And so I eradicated them. I got rid of them. Because that's how powerful the propaganda is. They're sold and demonized. They demonize another race, people, group, and it'll stratify, a number of things, religion, color, sexual orientation, race, it doesn't really matter. And then they'll pitch it into a way and kind of position it in a way where it's like, this is the devil. This is demonic. This is like putting down a dog. So when I asked the question, would you do it? Well, most of you probably listening wouldn't, because I'm preaching to the choir. But to be quite frank with you, a good majority would. They're that dumb. People say all the time, hey, would you jump off a cliff if Bob did or Bob told you so? People are like, no, I wouldn't do that. Well, they do it all day long. I would say more than 90% of our active military has no idea what they're doing overseas right now. Just like, I don't know, we're getting shot at, Bob. Let's fire back. And I'm not going to blame them for that human instinct. Of course, you're getting shot at. You're trying to protect yourself. But did any of these people ever beg the question why? Like, hey, why are we over here in the first place? And then I go back to the video footage of George W. Bush talking about weapons of mass destruction. Then you put two and two together. That was an absolute lie. So then begs another question. Why are we here then if that was a lie? You just keep going down the rabbit hole. People don't have the time to do that. People don't have the time to go down the rabbit hole. This is a very difficult time in American history, and the question is, can we survive? Can America survive? And is there any hope left? I'm Christopher Green. We got to go to a quick break. Everybody stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment. Howdy, Thermal Imaging. Good to have you in the chat. Oh, crap. What's up? How we doing, my friend? Oh, crap says up. Agreed. Hi to Anonymous 8991. Got a lot of you hanging out in the chat today, tuning into the stream live around the world. Before we went to the break, we were talking about the imminent nature of the war with Iran. And reading through some comments, we put out a video, very hard-hitting. People are saying, Christopher, one of the comments says, Christopher, you should stop blaming Obama, but blame the status in general, because there surely will be another puppet after Obama. It's time to get rid of the cage, the state. It's upgraded a few times. Couldn't agree more. But, and this person's name or username is Maddie's1. Maddie's1, you got to speak the language of the people first. It's easier for them to understand it as a simple political thing, as it's an Obama thing, and then work them and guide them into a statist perspective. Of course it's the state. Of course it's President Barack Obama's handlers, not necessarily President Barack Obama himself. He is one puppet just like the next. Again, this is an aristocracy. It's why you don't get any choice. This is an election. It isn't an election. It's a selection process. It isn't an election. It's a selection process, which is exactly why your choices are Bush, or Bush, and they'll be running Jeb Bush in 2016, or it'll be Clinton, or Hillary Clinton in 2016. Aristocracy, powerful families represent the handlers, represent the state. Who does the state represent? The state represents big money, special interest groups, extremely powerful people. These people aren't going to put themselves as the puppet. They're not going to be the ones reading the teleprompter. Come on, they're too busy profiting. That's how the world works. We do not have a democracy here in the United States. We do not have a system, political system that works. We have one party. That is the party of tyranny. That is the party of lies. This is not a Republican, Democrat kind of thing. That idea, the idea of liberty, the idea of freedom, does not exist. The idea exists, but in its physical form, in its true form, does not exist in the United States today in the physical world. There's something wrong with that. There's something very, very wrong with that. Eric Holder, you remember him, right? He's a guy, he's a scumbag running guns down to the Mexican border illegally that is resulting in the deaths and resulted in the death of an American border agent. You remember that? You know, running guns. Talked a lot about this in our film, The Executive, that went somewhat viral. We're hoping that it'll go a lot more viral than it already has. We're up to over 115,000 views in just the first couple of weeks so far. Eric Holder comes out today, says drone strikes against Americans on U.S. soil are legal. Yeah, you heard me right. That's correct. Drone strikes against Americans on U.S. soil are legal. Watch out. Watch out. Don't post anything a little bit too aggressive on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. You might flat out get drone striked later on this afternoon. You might be walking outside or filling up your car with gas, or, you know, maybe you're going to your church or something like that, or you're going out to dinner with your family, and you'll be sitting at dinner, placing your order, talking to the nice stewardess, telling her you'd like this and that, when boom, drone strike. They'll even turn it into a reality TV show, and it'll be broadcasted live so that there's some entertainment value, like, hey, who's next? Who will be the next American murdered by the Obama regime?
But, Chris, it's not just Obama, it's the statists.
Well, I'm not arguing with you. Obama still is the pawn, though. Pretty amazing stuff. Attorney General Eric Holder can imagine a scenario in which it would be constitutional, he says, to carry out a drone strike against an American on American soil. He wrote in a letter to Senator Rand Paul. You know, this isn't necessarily a recommendation, it's just an idea. But maybe the first drone strike, and again, I'm not saying this, but Eric Holder, he seems to think that he can imagine a scenario in which it would be constitutional to carry out a drone strike against an American on American soil. I can't really think personally any constitutional reason to do that. Taking somebody's life via a drone strike without due process of law. Right to a fair trial, stand in front of a jury of your peers, be read your Miranda rights, habeas corpus, etc., etc. Seems like we didn't have a situation like that not too long ago. What was that guy's name? What was his name? I know we've already forgotten about it, right? It's already too far along now. We forget quickly here. Oh yeah, Christopher Dorner. You know, the guy that they just set ablaze on fire without taking him alive and just basically blew up and incinerated him in Big Bear. Remember that? Now, I know you liberals are going to say, well, he put a bullet in his head, Chris, before whatever. They lit the match and burned him up before we could get the truth out. They also shot at 70 and 80-year-old ladies in pickup trucks that didn't even match the description or color of Dorner's. They ran and slammed into another gentleman who was Caucasian, so I don't know how they, confused that. And, he suffered injuries. Opened fire on civilians of the streets in the streets of Los Angeles. That's what due process looks like in America today. So Eric Holder, he can imagine a reason that he would need to use, or Obama would need to use, a drone strike against Americans on U.S. So I'm sure they probably were hoping that that was actually put in place kind of around the Occupy Wall Street movement. You know, it would have made it a lot easier for Mayor Bloomberg to kind of clear the area. I mean, think that's a lot easier than, you know, riding horses in there. You just press a button like beep and, you know, blow everyone to smithereens. So it'll be interesting to see these in action. And I've said for some time it's taken a lot of people to kind of join the party on this, but also it'll be very interesting to see it from a celebrity perspective. You know, I can just see them now following Lindsay Lohan and, you know, these types of people and taking pictures and just, you know, flying around with their little drone. Like, hey, Lindsay, it's TMZ, snapshot, live video stream. We really need to invest in an AMTV drone. In fact, if we could ever get the funding around that, maybe one of you listening would like to contribute, or maybe you know of a company that would help us to sponsor us, I would love to get a drone. That would be fantastic. Let's use the drones against them. So when their drone is watching us, when I'm walking around gassing up my pickup truck, I'm going to put the AMTV media drone on them. So when Obama steps outside of the White House, it's just going to be there. AMTVmedia.com. Greenwave.com. See, we can't afford one of the silent ones. You know, this is grassroots, so ours is going to be really loud, which I kind of like, because it'll really piss off these people in Washington. You know, Harry Reid will, you know, he'll walk outside from, you know, his meeting about how he's going to kill more Americans, and we'll just be like, right there in his face. Right there in his face. Also today, Joe Biden came out, pretty much the most inconsequential person in Washington, but loves to hear himself speak. Like, hey, I'm the vice president. I do nothing. I'm pretty much just a figurehead. I have no power unless President Barack Obama dies of natural or non-natural causes, but I love to hear myself talk. Hi, my name is Joe Biden. And today he was talking about the fact that Obama is not bluffing over Iran military threat. You know, it's pretty much like they get a cheat sheet every day, like, hi, Joe, here's your cheat sheet, and he just reads it over like, propaganda for today. Talking points. Iran's nuke threat, George W. Bush's equivalent of WMDs. And then he just goes to work, and they, you know, play some calls. Like, all right, Joe, you're giving a speech here later today. You'll also be talking on CNN in a few hours. We'll be right back. I'm Christopher Green. This is Greenwave Radio Live. Everybody stay with us.